Can you tell us a little bit about the activities of UNRWA before October 7? What was that
The
like?
UNRWA is working in 5 settings, 5 field sites where Palestine refugees are. Those are in Gaza. As we know, 1.7 million refugees are Palestinian refugees are in Gaza, the West Bank and East Jerusalem. And then UNRWA works also in Lebanon, Jordan, and in Syria. UNRWA was mandated by the United Nations to provide humanitarian assistance to this population. And every year this mandate is renewed by countries who are voting as part of the United Nations. Came about in 1949 by UN mandate, addressed the needs of these 700,000 refugees who are as a result of the creation of the State of Israel. And a little bit of a fact, UNRWA uses this weird adjective, Palestine refugees. If you've heard this instead of Palestinian, UNRWA was meant to serve any refugee who was refugeed as a result of the 1948 creation of Israel, whether they were Jewish, Christian, or Muslim. It was meant not necessarily Palestinian in terms of nationality, but anyone who was in the land of Palestine. In practice, it referred to Palestinians who were refugeed, and primarily, of course, Muslims and Christians. And because there hasn't been a just and durable solution to the plight of Palestine refugees, UNRWA continues to serve this population. And I always say, just as a part of UNRWA USA, that we hope UNRWA will be defunct sometime, because we want to work ourselves out of business, so that because that would mean there's a just and durable solution for the plight of Palestine refugees. And so sometimes when people critique the assistance provided to this population, I say, well, by all means, I don't think Palestinians want to rely on this aid. I don't think it's comfortable for anybody. But until there's a just and durable solution, the services of UNRWA, the actual UN agency, are absolutely necessary. And so UNRWA across these 5 field sites provides education, mostly education up through about 8th grade. And UNRWA schools are known to be some of the best schools in the region. There are about 700,000 students up until October 7th who were in UNRWA schools across these 5 field sites. And then UNRWA also provides food cash assistance for those who are not able to make a living. And those beneficiaries are primarily in Lebanon and in Gaza. Lebanon, because there's some structural discrimination in the laws which say that Palestine refugees cannot work in certain sectors. And so they're forced into informal labor or very low paying labor. And then in Gaza, of course, with the 16-year blockade of air, land, and sea, and this is, of course, pre-October 7th, where it's just gotten worse since then, but has been unable to develop very much of its own economy, because it's not in control of the goods that go in, the goods or the people that go in or out of the Gaza Strip. So UNRWA in Gaza has provided food assistance to some 1.2 million people out of the 1.6 million refugees who are in Gaza. Similar population, actually 4/5 of the population, 80% of the population is at or near poverty in Gaza. So the needs have been huge, and they're only 1,000 times greater since October 7th. So in addition to food and cash assistance and education, UNRWA runs health clinics. And I should be clear that these are usually primary and secondary health needs. They're not generally tertiary needs or hospitals or surgeries. And so UNRWA does not run a system of hospitals. And then UNRWA provides for, unfortunately, all too often, needs for rebuilding after conflict, particularly in Gaza and, of course, in the West Bank, of rebuilding shelters for those whose shelters have been destroyed. And in Gaza, this is, depending on how you count, something like the 7th military incursion in 16 years. And so that rebuilding process happens again and again, unfortunately. And then protection services for those who need protection, orphans, for example, programs against gender-based violence, and then programs to support those who've been unfortunately displaced or dispossessed from their houses, like in East Jerusalem. So those are the primary roles.
I mean, I knew a little bit about UNRWA, but that has really expanded my understanding. Such an important mission. I mean, if UNRWA wasn't doing it, who else would do it, and how would they do it? It's really so fascinating.